nonprofit civil rights group in DC went into several luxury apartment buildings with the intent and purpose of proving that they would refuse to take Section 8 vouchers. And they were proven right. But is that wrong? I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have quite the interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Washington, D.C., and of course it has to do with Section 8 vouchers. Now, D.C. is one of those places that has a law that makes it so it's a requirement that landlords accept Section 8 vouchers. Now, here is my issue with that, okay? We're talking about this organization, this nonprofit civil rights organization, probably funded by your government tax dollars, decided, hey, we're going to go after these evil landlords for trying to get around this law. So what do? They go out to luxury apartment buildings that lower income people wouldn't be living in anyway, right? And then they say, oh, well, we're going to prove that these luxury apartment buildings aren't taking Section 8 vouchers. Well, in my opinion, no, they should not be taking Section 8 vouchers because these are luxury apartment buildings. These are not this kind of stuff. This isn't the kind of place where you want Section 8 tenants. Why? It's not the tenants themselves. It's the issue of fairness, okay? We're talking about tenants who don't earn that much money being able to come in here using government dollars to live in luxury. Give me a break, okay? That's absolutely idiotic, and I don't agree with it. I am 100% opposed to this, and I'm opposed to a lot of stuff that has to do with how our tax dollars are being spent and the unfairness of a situation where you have hardworking people working full-time, not getting a penny from the government, and they are living in worse conditions than people who don't work, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So first of all, do you believe that people who have Section 8 vouchers should be allowed to live in luxury apartments? Okay? Now I know there's an income limit, that these vouchers supposedly cover. They'll only cover so much money. But if the number is so high that, hey, we've got, people who are working in McDonald's who are living in places that, unless you make six figures, otherwise you can't live in, well, then we have an issue of fairness and an issue of, just throwing too much government money into this sort of situation. And that's what my problem is. Not only that, but no landlord, absolutely none, not even in DC or any of these liberal places, right, should be forced to accept these vouchers. This is supposed to be a voluntary program, and they really need to go back to allowing landlords to have the discretion to make the decision on who their tenants are going to be. Otherwise, we're just talking about forced public housing, okay? You're being forced. And that's why I say, I believe it's a constitutional taking. But what do you think? Put a comment section down below. Let's get into the article. This article is coming from the WashingtonCityPaper.com, and it says, "We don't accept Section 8. Undercover testers found voucher discrimination across D.C. The Equal Rights Center's investigations and lawsuits detail how D.C. landlords turn away prospective tenants just because they use housing vouchers to pay rent." And the focus, of course, in this article is on these luxury apartments, right? But believe me when I say the small mom and pop landlords who own one unit, we can get caught up in this nonsense as well. And that's why I'm bringing this article to light, because believe me, if they're going to go after these big guys, they're going to come after you as well. So anyway, let's see what the article says. Undercover rental applicants found blatant and widespread discrimination against housing voucher holders by landlords of luxury apartment buildings in Navy Yard, Shaw, and Noma, according to a new lawsuit filed by the Equal Rights Center, a nonprofit civil rights organization. The ERC's testers inquired about renting at J. Cooper's Row, Jefferson Marketplace, J. Linnea, and Pinnacle, but ran into unlawful requirements such as minimum income requirements for voucher holders and overly broad eviction and criminal background screenings, according to the lawsuit filed against JAG Management Company and Jefferson Apartment Group. So this isn't just about Section 8. They say that, their criteria for criminal and eviction history is too much as well, okay? Now, I can't remember if DC, I've covered so many articles over the years, but I can't remember if DC is one of those places that doesn't allow landlords to do full tenant background checks and do full tenant eviction screenings. Okay, probably is. But what they want to do is they want to strip us of the ability to properly screen our tenants, force us to take tenants that we don't want, give us no ability to evict these tenants, and force us under rent control policies that keep our rents so ungodly low that we can't even cover our expenses. And this is the solution in their mind to expensive housing, but it's not a solution. In reality, it is the cause of the expensive housing, and they don't seem to realize that. They seem to think that, oh, all these policies we put in place, this will solve the issue. They'll throw more policies in place. They'll throw more restrictions against your private property rights, and then they will say, well, we don't understand why nobody wants to invest here. We don't understand why there's no affordable housing. We don't understand. Well, figure it out, okay? Otherwise, landlords such as myself, we're not even going to look at a place like DC. I know I don't. When I'm considering a place to buy a rental property, I look at places that are landlord friendly, places that don't have rent control, places that don't have strong tenant protections, places where I can do as I please with my property. And I don't care what kind of profits that I could supposedly get in your place. Eventually, you're going to try to take my property from me and then force me into this negative situation. So not worth it, in my opinion. One manager stated their application will unfortunately be denied even if the voucher is sufficient enough to cover their full rent. After this article published, JAG spokesperson Tammy Murphy sent an emailed statement saying, JAG takes its role as a housing provider seriously and is proud to play a part in helping grow the supply of affordable housing across the region. More than 10,000 DC residents depend on Housing Choice Vouchers, formerly known as Section 8 vouchers. These government-funded subsidies enable low-income tenants to secure housing in the private rental market that they otherwise couldn't afford. But the promise of finding a home in a desirable neighborhood frequently runs into a harsh reality. Landlords in D.C. often illegally deny or discourage access to available units, according to covert investigations and lawsuits filed in just the past 5 years. D.C. law prohibits denials based on source of income and sets strict limits on considering eviction and criminal records. Okay, so yeah, they do have laws in place that won't even let you look at parts of the eviction history and parts of their criminal history. And that's unfortunate because every little factor, every little piece of information that a landlord can use to screen out garbage tenants, we need it. We need it. And if we don't have access to that, it will cost us money. It'll cost us dearly, which leads to our operating expenses being higher and the higher the rents we're going to have to charge. Unfortunately, I mean, I know they have rent control there. So what is the solution other than just not to invest there? You're going to chase investors away. You're going to chase landlords away. You're going to discourage people from wanting to rent their units out. And is that what you really want? Is that what you really think? My personal opinion is the landlord should just go. The developer should just go. Screw the place. Okay, it's not worth the trouble. It's surrounded by other states. Okay, there's plenty of other municipalities where they don't have these ridiculous laws in place and where you can still make a good profit. So just move. Move your dollars elsewhere where they treat you right. Go where you're treated the best. That's always been my opinion. Don't ever sit in a place and be like, oh, I have to invest here because, I inherited this house and now I'm going to turn it into a rental. And no, just sell the place, man, or sell it to an owner occupant. Screw them. Okay. They're not doing anything for you. And I don't personally believe that it is worth the time and effort of trying to change the law. But what do you think? Go ahead and put a comment in the comment section down below.